Hey everybody, welcome back to the Planes, Trains, and Comic Books channel. I'm Matt, and this is what I read so far this March. So, first things first, I got a bunch of issues that I read, like single issues that I got at the store. First one, I got Conan number 19. This one was a pretty fun issue. It's a little bit setup issue, but there was some cool violence in it. Conan kills a couple people. It's pretty badass. But he's basically in some land called Qatari, and which is kind of like seeming like China, Asia area. And he gets captured because these people have never seen, a Western person walking around for no reason. They're looking for certain people who are spies, so they assume he's a spy. They capture him, and he's able to talk to some certain people that visit and make his escape. So that's where this one starts. It's kind of, like I said, setting up for this little storyline, but it's pretty badass so far. He definitely got to do some barbarianing in this one, so that was pretty good. Then the next one I read was Maniac of New York number 2. This was also just kind of just more setup, but it was still really good. The plot of this is like, basically it's like, what if Jason goes to Manhattan but then stays in Manhattan kind of thing. So he's like a bad guy who has perplexed the cops. They don't really know who he is or anything, but he just every now and then will massacre a bunch of people on a train or in a Times Square or whatnot. So in this issue, it's kind of interesting because the city is like, we have just started our new unmanned train system, and if it's unmanned, of course, that means if something bad happens, there ain't no one there to help, and something bad happens, and you might be able to guess what happens. so let's just say he takes a train ride. So that was an interesting book. I should say, I would give Conan, like, just overall, it was like a 3. It wasn't like the best, but at first it was a little slow, and then towards the end the action picked up, which was good. This one, the Maniac of New York, give that like a 3.5. 3.5 to 4. I don't know, depends on your thing, how much you enjoy kind of like horror or whatnot. But this is just a fun series, so it's not like, don't go in there expecting Shakespeare or anything, but it is fun to read. It's a fast read, and I mean, if you like Jason movies, which I do, you can see, it's kind of a, it's just like a fun comic book for that, especially because it's not a lot. I mean, it's not Jason, obviously. It's the Maniac of New York, so very different character. And then this was like very exciting to me. The next one I read was Swamp Thing, or The Swamp Thing number 1. Now this is a Infinite Frontier DC storyline, which came out of the Future State books. So this is we're gonna call it the 3rd, possibly 4th generation of Swamp Thing as far as the comic books are concerned. I know for sure they've mentioned 2 in the. If you don't know, I'm reading all the Swamp Thing books on the channel and on our podcast. I'm just reading them issue by issue and then just telling you guys what's in each issue. So like, and I'm reading it in real time, like kind of while I'm talking to you guys about it. So so far we've gotten through the first volume from the 70s, and now we're into the Alan Moore stuff from the 80s, and there's only been 2 Swamp Things. So I'm trying to think. I don't think any of the future volumes have new people being Swamp Thing. So this is like the first new one, and this one is an Indian Swamp Thing. So the guy's from, I don't know if he's from India or if he's actually like just like an Indian American, just with the heritage of Indian. So but this one was pretty good setup. There was some pretty cool moments as far as like him tearing shit apart and everything as Swamp Thing. And we saw in Future State that's in Swamp Thing, like Swamp Thing has ruined the earth for humans and attacked them. So I'm assuming maybe that's what this hits on, or like how he gets there. So it seemed like he was more aggressive towards humans in this one, so which is interesting. So I haven't really seen that take on the character too much. I mean, in the Alan Moore run, there's some fights against Gotham City and whatnot that get pretty against humans, but that's more of a Floronic Man kind of thing, not so much a Swamp Thing. But I get it. Earth would be mad at us at some point, right? The next one, and that one I'll give this. I mean, it's fucking Swamp Thing. I gotta give it like a 5 or a 4.5, since it's just the first issue setting up stuff. But we'll see how that one goes. It's 1 of 10, so it's not like an ongoing, but it is good, and I enjoyed it. So pick that one up for sure. Then I read, this is, I don't know if you can see, there you go. Fear Case is the name of this book. This is Fear Case number 2. And this book is pretty badass. It's I read the first one last month, and it was like a setup book for like a horror thing that's kind of like It Follows or something like that, where there is a box, or like maybe The Ring. There's a box that if you get it, you have to give it to someone you hate within a certain amount of time. If you don't, someone you love will die, or some bad stuff will happen to someone you love. So and I think if you don't give it to someone, you die too as well, and on top of your loved one. So it's just, they just want you to keep passing it on to someone you don't like. So this was kind of the result of passing it on to someone you don't like. So this one was a really good issue. It was pretty interesting to see the expansion of that lore a little bit, and then to get like the graphic scenes was fun. I mean, I enjoy comics that are pretty graphic and crazy and bloody and everything, so that was fun. And then you got a little throwback to my childhood here. X-Men Legends #1. I don't remember if this one came out in February or March. This one I just had on the shelf that I saw, and I was like, oh cool, that looks like 90s X-Men. And they're like, oh, it is. It's basically, I guess, Marvel, stories that Marvel said like, nah, we don't want to do that, not this time, we'll pass on that story, and then the writer just kept that story, and then now they're like, hey, we need stories, so why don't you tell one under the title of X-Men Legends. So apparently there's multiple of these stories where people wanted to tell certain things and they couldn't, so yeah. But if you can see, I mean, Cyclops got all the pouches and all the straps, and looks just like the 90s TV show, which is what I grew up on. So big fan. This one was pretty fun. It was definitely a 90s comic. There's like, they just throw you in the middle of it. Apparently it actually does take place in continuity, so that's interesting too. Like, it's gonna be new stories that can be told in continuity, so that's fun, and it's a good idea. I think Marvel had a good idea with this one, and specifically the writer had a good idea too. But yeah, I mean, it's just classic X-Men. It's like, this one has to do with what's their names? The Summers brothers. It'd be Havoc and it's Havoc and Scott Summers, and them dealing with fighting people, of course, just like in a cornfield or some shit. And then someone shows up from space, and now they have to go on a trip with him. So it's a good story. It was a fun story. I mean, I wouldn't say it's amazing. I give this one like a 3.5, but it was fun. It brought me back to like my childhood, and I'm going to continue with it. So pretty much all of those I'm going to continue, just to see them out, even if something wasn't as like my favorite thing. There wasn't anything here. The one I cared about the least at the end was Conan, and I just buy Conan because I buy Conan, because I'm a fan of the character Conan. But that was the other ones, like Fear Case and whatnot. If those were just terrible, I wouldn't continue. But I'm actually buying them in issues because they showed that they were good when I read them. So I want to see what happens. So then I'm starting, I don't know if you saw the list from the last vlog, but there's a bunch of hardcovers I said I was going to read, and so I had to start reading some of those, and I didn't get through too much right away. Like obviously there's like Batman Nightfall was one that the volume 3 of that was one I said I was going to start, but I'm taking a break from Nightfall. I think that's going to be like the last one I read, because the second one was pretty daunting. So I don't know if I'll make through that one all this March, but the one I did start on was Batman: The Curse of the White Knight. So I gotta say, this book, I heard mixed reviews. Most were good, but I heard reviews of, yeah, there's a bunch of swashbuckling and who cares about some weird thing that happened in the 1600s and why would Bruce feel this or that. So this was super fucking cool. And I don't quite understand the hate it got a little bit. I mean, obviously it was a popular book. It sold well, and people talked about it. So, the people who are going to like it are going to like it, and the people who aren't. But I thought some of the criticisms I heard were just it wasn't story based, because one thing that I heard was, oh, there's like a whole issue of like swashbuckling and stuff where it's just like, I don't care about the 1600s. And that's not how this was. This was like, there'd be, 3 or 4 pages of history stuff that happened, and then they'd cut back and it would always tie into what was going on. So I never felt like, why are we here? What's going on? So I enjoyed this a lot. The reason I was reading the Nightfall books in the first place before reading this was because this has Azrael in it, and I never read about Azrael. So I put this on hold because I was like, I need to learn about who Azrael is. So I read all the Nightfall series and like the Azrael trade just to see who the character was for this book. So I was happy I did that, because having only read 2 of the Nightfall books, I was up on Azrael enough to know all the stuff from this. So this was a really, 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 really good book. It was one sitting for me. This was like fantastic. Also, this hardcover has some cool features in it, like it's got drawings and stuff. I love Sean Gordon Murphy's drawings. His art is fantastic. So having this have some of the character designs and sketches and stuff in there was very cool. So I thought everything in this was really done really well. And I mean, honestly, I haven't read a better Batman book for a long, long, long time. So probably since the original White Knight. I mean, and he's doing Harley Quinn right now with, or his wife is writing it, but he's kind of like overseeing the direction of it. And I mean, that one's good too, but this just has like his storytelling in it, kind of thing. It's really him. So I enjoy this one a lot, and I can't wait for the third one from him to come out. So this was amazing. You should definitely pick this up. This was a 5 for sure. Like, this was a 10. So definitely pick this one up. And then I started Miracleman. Now, I'd never heard of this character before. Well, I've heard the name. People have, in the whispers when I worked at the comic book store, the whispers of it were, this is the best series of all time. This is so amazing. This is Alan Moore. It's never been printed because it's in some kind of lawsuit with Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman, and Todd McFarlane, and just weird shit going on. And I kind of read up on this beforehand too. So yeah, this was in like some kind of weird copyright limbo for a very long time. And then Marvel apparently has the character now because they're printing it in these hardcovers. It's not a very thick hardcover, but the paper's pretty thin. So it's like deceivingly long. We'll say that. It's like 150 pages, but it's like tiny. It's like less than half an inch thick. But I have so far just read up to issue 1, or like I guess issue 2, because it's weird. I'll say issue 1 is, and this is very interesting, but I did not realize what was going on. Issue 1 is told like the old 50s stuff. So the art is very like 50s, and like it's basically Shazam or Captain Marvel with like, it's about a kid who says a word or a man who says a word and then can turn into, Marvel Man, or Miracle. I guess it used to be Marvel Man, and they had to change it to Miracle Man for this. And that was where one of the copyright problems happened. And then there's like a boy, or there's Kid Marvel Man, and I'm sorry, Kid Miracleman, and then there's Young Miracleman or something. There's 3 different people. Yeah, Young Miracleman, which is ridiculous. There's like 3 different people who are all like these 3 guys right here, who are all part of this family, which makes sense because if it's supposed to be kind of a Shazam copy, you know, he's got his whole family. You got Mary Marvel and, you know, all those different characters. So I was trying to copy that basically, and then it turns into, so it's like that 50s kind of comics. It reads like it too. I was surprised. I was like, wait, I thought this was like the new comics from the 80s or something that Alan Moore wrote. And I'm like reading it, I'm like, this is weird. I don't quite understand. And then it turns into like, on this page you see the art changed from the 50s to nowadays, and then right on the next page you can see the regular normal art, so, or like the 80s art. So this one is definitely a very cool way to introduce the character, but I haven't got that far in it yet, and I'm interested in continuing. This one's called A Dream of Flying. This is book 1. So I would, so far I haven't got far enough in it to really recommend it, but I'm gonna hold judgment on this one until I finish the book. So but yeah, that's all I've read so far. This is an exciting week. I don't know if you guys care, but the Snyder Cut's coming out, and I was actually a really big fan of all the Snyder movies, so I didn't sign any petitions or anything or go online and yell at people or anything about it, but you know, I was excited when it actually got made, and then it's actually releasing this week. So I think me and John, I am not sure if he will make it, but I for sure am going to do a not a reaction to, but I will do a review of it that will be spoiler free, so you guys, you know, can watch it and not have shit spoiled for you the night of, after I watch it. So it'll probably go out later on Thursday night, but it's releasing this Thursday, so that'll be fun, and I can't wait for that. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, tell me what you guys are reading, tell me if I'm missing anything. I want to read as much as possible, so if I'm missing out on some comics, if I've been sleeping on stuff, let me know. And I guess we'll see you guys on the next one.